It is 20 minutes past midnight, and I cannot sleep. A sane human being would prioritize relaxing and trying to fall asleep, but I am a huge nerd, so let's make a mobile game. I started with very simple controls for aiming and choosing the force of movement and the border to keep the blob inside the playing screen. But something is off. This is certainly not how I would imagine a blob to move when it hits an object. It should squish and bounce off. And to do that I added some bones to the sprite. Yeah, you heard it right, bones. However, it maybe works a bit more like a blob, but it's pretty unplayable. So I dumped this approach and decided to go for a simple goniometry approach, which I somehow managed to screw up as well. But after finally learning some elementary school math, I managed to make it work. Yay! And just a bit of fighting with math later, I also made it squish in the correct directions. The last thing to do with the movement for the game was a bit of oddly satisfying feeling, and we're done. To add the reason for the player to move, I made a circle which works as a target, and a simple scoring system that rewards the player with the score based on whether the player stayed in the gold or the grey area of the target. I also made two different modes, one being the precision mode, where the player only has 3 lives, and so only 2 misses, and the time mode with a timer to put some weight on the player's skill and a way to lose the game. Unless you're a pro gamer like me, in which case it's just there to distract you a little. Next thing on our list are maps. This will add some variety and difficulty for the players, but they also come with a problem. You see, when adding these obstacles, it creates places where the player cannot get in a single turn. This is desirable, however, the problem comes from the fact that the circles spawn randomly. And were one to spawn in this unreachable space, it would create an impossible scenario, and that's certainly not a fun concept. If you enjoy solving puzzles, feel free to pause the video and try to figure out how you would detect these places. I went with my first instinct, which is to literally shoot lasers in different directions from the blob and measure the distance and the number of reflections. If the distance is too large or the path requires the player to reflect more than 3 times, it will dismiss the circle position. This will create challenging but possible scenarios. This approach may seem quite inefficient, which to some extent it is, but keep in mind that it only has to happen once, when the player reaches the goal and for only one entity, so it should be a piece of cake to compute. And to put the cherry on top of this cake, it's time to add the last gameplay aspect of the game, before adding the UI, game modes and systems, which are the bonuses. Originally I just wanted to make a bonus that will add more time and a bonus to regen life, but they just sound so dull, so I opted for a freeze effect for the time mode and a shield that will block the next miss in the precision mode. It is virtually the same, but it gives the bonuses a bit more meaning in the game. And with the whole gameplay loop done, it was time to start working on the user interface. Now, I usually tend to go for the least amount of work approach when it comes to UI, but this time I really tried my best, took my time with it, and it looks pretty smooth, if I may say so myself. The idea is to have a bot just bounce around in the background as the player is doing stuff in the menu. I also focus a lot on the movement, trying to make it smooth and logical, which should hopefully give the player a dynamic and responsive feeling. At the end I did some final touches, and when I say final touches I mean I finished the UI, added some skins, auras and a currency, made a bunch of achievements, added difficulty levels, monetized the game and made a quick tutorial. I could talk about everything I did during the development for an hour, well, maybe more like 5 minutes, the game is pretty simple, but actions speak louder than words after all, so if you are interested, check it out. It's available for Android devices on Google Play, but I also uploaded a Windows or macOS version to itch.io. Links to both in the description. That's gonna be it from me today. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next devlog. Bye bye!